What a character. He had everything. Like, he was kind, he was rude, he was arrogant, he was brilliant, what a personality, and I was fortunate enough to meet him a few times, but there's loads and loads of stories about him. And I got to tell you this, Jim. Mark Crosley told me this. He was in the room. This is a lesson for any footballer. Stuart Pearce gets picked for England, right? So he's asked Pearcey, when can he get back after the game? It was a Tuesday night game. When can he get back in time for training?
Yeah.
So he said Thursday, 4 o'clock. Thursday? So Thursday comes along, he calls a meeting, gets all the players in the dressing room, and he puts a towel down on the floor and a football on it. He always used to put a towel on the floor with the ball, and he'd kick the ball off the towel and say, that's when we play with the ball on the floor. So he comes in with a plastic bag. There was obviously something heavy in the bag, and he puts the ball on the towel. And now he walks back to the back of the dressing room and he says, young man, to Stuart Pearce, how do you think you played for England in midweek? He said, I done all right. He said, I didn't think so. I thought you were shocking. What do you think, lads? And nobody said anything. So he's gone, well, our captain, lads, is a fraud. So Pearcey said, what do you mean? He goes, well, on last week's programme, page 9, bottom left corner, there's an advert in there. Stuart Pearce Electrics. Explain, what's that? He said, well, when I was playing non-league, we had electrical family business, and I'm just trying to keep the business going. Lads, our captain's a fraud. He said, what do you mean? He said, well, if my Barbara rings that number, are you going to answer it if her light bulb's gone in her house? He said, no, it'd be my brother. Well, you're a fraud then, son, because it says you'll come. And if you're any good at that, he opens the bag, takes the bag over to him, takes an iron out of the bag. My Barbara's iron is broken. Fix it by Saturday or you're not playing. Walked out. So Pearcey's fixed the iron. He's fixed it and put it on his desk Saturday morning to make sure he played. That's how you get your feet back on the ground. I spoke to Everton in the morning. Mm-hmm. Arthur Cox rang me and said that Everton have bid 2.9 million for you.
2.9 million for the Saunders.
So I went and spoke to Howard Kendall. That was interesting. not as interesting as Brian Clough. And picture the scene. So I've got to go and meet him at Alan Hill's house on the A52 in Nottingham.
So wait,
4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
3-bedroom detached house. Me and my agent, Kevin Mason, who looks like Robbie Coltrane. Cracker. Just get the picture. He looks like Cracker. He's a ringer for Cracker. Yeah. So we walk in, Gaffer's on his way from the ground. He'll be here in 5 minutes. Mm. So we sit down in the lounge. It's the best garden you've ever seen. The back garden's perfect. We sit down on the settee, Archie Gemmell, cup of tea. Next thing, knock on the door. Gaffer's here. Yeah. Brian Clough walks in, green sweatshirt, white shorts, white socks, blotchy cheeks. Walks in. I stand up. I was obviously a bit nervous. It's Brian Clough. Yeah. Young man, nice to see you. So nice to meet you, Mr. Clough. Looks at Kevin, my agent. Son doesn't even shake his hand. We sit down, and he walks up the opposite end of the house. Yeah. Sits on the chair with his nose about an inch from the wall, looking at the wall. I was thinking, what's he doing? And he doesn't say anything for about a minute, and we just sat there, and all of a sudden he went, son, staring at the wall. And he went, son, can I speak to you, or do I have to speak to him to speak to you? I said, you can speak to me, Mr. Clough. He went, thank you, son, because I don't really like talking about football in front of him, because he's a fat... So I burst out laughing. Kevin's not laughed. Oh, so dear. At this point, he slid off the arm of the chair onto his knees on the floor. And he's sitting back on his heels going, I've got bad knees, son. My knees. My knees are killing me, son. And he starts crawling on his hands and knees towards me. I was up the other end of the house. He's crawling on the floor. I'm thinking, what? I can't believe what's going on. It's a British record transfer, this is supposed to be. And he stops, looks at the carpet, and he went, Illy, like your carpet, son. He said, where'd you get that from? He went, carpet right. How much? He went, $12.99 a square yard. He went, my Barbara would love that carpet. Good choice, Illy, son. At this point, I started to work out he might be drunk. He crawls up to me, and he sits back. He's crawling on his hands and knees, and he looks out the patio doors, the best garden ever. And he sits back on his heels. He goes, "My knees, what a lovely garden." "Do you like flowers, son?" he said to me. "Do you like flowers?" I went, "They're all right." He went, "Hang on, don't move." He goes outside, gets this pot. There's the best pot you've ever seen with flowers spilling out of this pot. Yeah. He's trying to get his hands around the whole lot to get them out. Ellie runs out behind him. He went, "Gaffer, no, that's my best pot. Don't pull them out." He went, "Ellie, you're ruining the deal, son. The lad likes flowers." So he gets a handful of flowers, gives them to me. It goes on ages, this story, by the way. It's hilarious.
Okay. No,
2 hours.
Make it longer.
Anyway, he comes in with the flowers and he went, "Smell that, son. Smell that. What do you think?" I smelt the flowers. I've gone, "Nice, yeah." He went, "I love flowers." "Do you like Frank?" I went, "Frank who?" He went, "Frank Sinatra."
Oh, yes.
He said, "Illy, put Frank on." The lad likes Frank Sinatra. My Kind of Town, Chicago comes on.
Brilliant.
He gets the flowers out of his pocket. He says, "Get your mic out, son." Get your mic out, because he puts them in my jacket pocket. I said, "What do you mean?" He went, "Get your mic out." So I get the flowers out my pocket as my mic. I'm now singing the chorus to Frank Sinatra, My Kind of Town, Chicago, on British record transfer in Alan Hill's house. I was thinking, what's going on? So he sings a song all the way through.
Yeah.
I was going, "Chicago is..." He said, "Come on, sing. They can all sing where you come from." So
That's Welsh, exactly.
Because I'm Welsh. So he goes, "Right, now then, you like Frank, you like flowers. Do you like me, son? Big question for you. Do you like me?" I had to say yes, and I said, "I can play for you, Mr. Clough." He went, "That's it, Illy, we've got him. He loves me. He loves, bring the contract." Kevin, who hasn't said a word, my agent, opens his mouth.
Oh.
He said, "Actually, Mr. Clough, we've got a few things to discuss before you've got him." He said, "Who said you could speak fatso?" Right, he's killed him. So he went, "Illy, take fatso out in the garden." I can't talk about football in front of him. So he walks out the patio doors, and Cloughy went, "Son, get yourself another agent." I went, "Why?" He said, "Look at the size on him." I went, "He's my mate." He said, "He's your mate? He'd eat everything in your fridge." So we sit back down. Archie Gamble says, "Right, well, what are we going to do, Gaffer? He said, "Is it not done, Arch? Have you not done the deal?" He went, "No." He said, "What have you been doing?" He said, "Well, get on with it. Get on with it." So we sit on the patio outside. Archie Gamble's got to persuade me to sign for Forest.
Yeah.
And Cloughy sits down, folds his arms. "Go on, Arch, get it sorted. Get it sorted." So Archie Gamble goes, "Dean, right, I know you spoke to Everton this morning. Yeah. Whatever you do, don't be swayed by the money." Cloughy went, "Got to stop you there, Arch." "I would be. Carry on." So he shook Archie a bit. He then goes, "And the other thing is, Nigel, the Gaffer's son, he'll create you 20 goals a season on his own." Yeah. He went, "Got to stop you again there, Arch. I'm going to tell our Nigel you've said that. Thank you for that. He'll love that. Carry on." So he said, "Gaffer, I don't know what we can offer him. What can we offer him?" He went, "Arch, he likes flowers, he likes Frank, and he loves me. The lad doesn't want any money. Do you, son?" So I thought, how can I get out of here? I've got to get out of here somehow. So I went, "Yeah, I don't want any money. I've got to speak to my wife, though. I've got to speak to my wife before I sign contract." So I went home, 12 miles away, pulled over. Kevin says, "You better go out of order, calling me fat.
Yeah.
How can you treat me with so little respect? You're not signing for them." Got to my back door, went in the back door, said to my wife, "You're not going to believe what's happened to me today." She went, "Shh." She's putting a finger on her lips. "Shh." I went, "What?"
You know what's going on?
She's pointed in my lounge.
It's so brilliant.
He's only sat in my lounge with the pot from the garden with his arm around my mother-in-law.
Oh, dear.
Honest to God. I was proud he tried to sign me, but that's the funniest thing that's ever happened to me in football.
I'll tell you what else he did and all, Cloughy. We played Wimbledon at home. I remember this. And they were first team to come with Ghetto Blaster. Vinnie's walked in with on his f***ing shoulder, like, you know what I mean? Vinnie Jones.
This is crazy gang.
Crazy gang. We're playing them at Forest. Anyway, fucking ghetto blasters going down, and you can see he's like thinking, what the f*** is that? And he's stopped and he's gone, Illy, to Alan Hill. Would you go and knock on their f***ing dressing room door and ask them to turn that f***ing music down? So Alan Hill goes down and he knocks on the door. And Vinnie Jones opened the door. He's captain of Wimbledon, and he stood there in a pair of slips, like f***ing growling at Alan Hill, like. And Alan Hill's gone, listen, Vinnie, would you mind turning the music down? Our gaffer don't like it. So Vinnie's gone, yeah, no problem. So turns it down. Alan Hill comes back up to the dressing room. Of course, what happens? They turn it even louder, don't they? Illy! This time, would you say, please, can you turn the music down? So he goes down and says, please, Mr. Jones, can you turn the music down?
Oh, so it's actually gone again?
Gone again.
Oh, he must have been walking from dressing room to dressing room thinking, fuck.
Yeah, so opens the door again, and Vinny, he's got a smirk on his face, Vinny, like, you know. And so he turns it down, comes back up, starts again. So this time he gets up, and he walks that corridor, knocks on the door, opens the door, Vinny. He walks in their dressing room. Well, this is fucking 10 to 3, by the way. Picks the ghetto blaster up, smashes it. Now I'll play your fucking music, Wimbledon. And comes back up to our dressing room. We fucking battered them 4-1, like, and like when I went to play for Wales and met Vinny, like Vinny told me this story, you see.
Yeah.
And he goes, when he walked in the dressing room, it was like, Brian Clough just walked in our dressing room. Even Crazy Gang didn't say out to him.
I had a good few run-ins with Brian Clough, and I know previous people have come on here and told Brian Clough stories, but I'm going to tell you one or two that you probably haven't heard.
Is this while you're playing for Arsenal?
I'm playing for Arsenal, he's manager. And our first encounter came when I was in the youth team. So we played Nottingham Forest in the youth team in the FA Youth Cup semi-final. First leg was at the City Ground. It was a Saturday. There was no first team games on, and they had a good team like Gary Charles and Stoney, Scott Gemmell and all those guys. You know, they had a really good team, and we had a good team as well. But we ended up beating them 3-0 on the day. And I was there shaking the ref's hand and stuff. And next minute, somebody's grabbing me by the ear and was leading me off the pitch. And I couldn't even see who it was because my back was to play. He was pulling me from behind. So I quickly turned and it was Brian Clough.
Come here, Sam.
Come here, young man. F***ing come here. So he's led me down, led me past the away dressing room, past the home dressing room, round to his office. Sits me down. I've got the full kit on. Sits me down, goes in the top drawer, pulls out an empty contract. I said, f***ing sign here, son. I said, Mr. Clough, I respect you. I said, but I'm an Arsenal fan and playing for Arsenal was everything to me. Next minute, bam, bam, bam. I don't know, it was Pat Rice, legend Pat Rice. Cloughie, you're out of blah, blah, blah. He's kicking the door in. So he takes the door off the hinges, Ricey, nutty Irishman, good Irish, kicks the door off the hinges anyway. And Cloughie's there with pen in his hand. He said, Ricey, if you just witnessed what I witnessed, you'd have done the same. And he was like,
that's unbelievable.
You go to the dressing room, go and get to the dressing room. So Ricey was there. So I've walked down the corridor. I thought, Pat ain't coming back. So I've doubled back and I've just looked around the door and Cloughie's getting the old single malt out.
Tossing him up.
It's tossing him up. Come on, Ricey. Hey, Ricey. Come on, Ricey. So I was like bloody, so I went back to the dressing room, obviously.
I'll be drinking that, Ricey.
Come on, Ricey. And the next one was we're playing Nottingham Forest
That's outrageous,
at Highbury. Playing Nottingham Forest at Highbury. And this is where Cloughie was starting to look a bit worn because he started to drink quite heavily before games.
At the time.
And I don't know if anybody knows, at Arsenal, me and Lee Dixon always used to go out to warm up first. We were always the first ones out. So we come out the away dressing room, we come out the home dressing room, sorry, at Highbury, and we're walking along, and the away dressing room is about 20 yards down the corridor. So as we're walking, Cloughie's in the hallway, rolling.
Pissed
Pissed as a fart. So as I'm coming out, bouncing the ball, you can hear the studs. Campbell, don't you hurt me, son. don't you hurt me. So I said, hi, Mr. Clough, how are you? You know, Campbell, don't you hurt me. Make sure you don't hurt me. He says, Mr. Clough, I'm not going to hurt you. I said, I want to beat you, but I don't want to hurt you. So he pulled me and he said, don't you hurt me. Whispered in my ear, don't you hurt me. So I said, okay, Mr. Clough. So as I've turned and I'm walking out the corridor, he whacked me in the car.
Clough did.
He's whacked me in the car. So I've gone, what the f***? What's going on? Lee Dixon, can you imagine pissing himself, like? So what'd you do that for? I told you, don't you hurt me. Don't you? I said, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm on the bench. I am now. I'm on the bench today. Help. Bastard old git, like, you know what I mean? So, warm up. Because that's where you used to have the dugouts were like the little squares.
Yeah.
And he's there in his dugout to the left. I'm sat behind George Graham and Stuart Houston and that. And he keeps looking over, pointing at me, mouthing, don't you hurt me, Campbell. And George Graham's looking at Stuart, what's wrong with Cloughie? And somebody wound Cloughie up tonight. You know what I mean? I'm like, I haven't. I couldn't tell him he's whacked me in the game. Well, you can imagine that'll kick off. And 0-0 at half time, Cloughie's still saying, Campbell, don't you hurt me. Going up the tunnel, gets in, come out. Anyway, 20 minutes to go. Kev, go and warm up, 0-0. Cloughie gets up, don't you hurt me, Campbell! Don't you And there's an old guy called Jim who used to go to the youth team games who hated Brian Clough. So as Cloughie gets up, Jim's there, fucking sit there, you whack like that. And he's like, Campbell, don't you hurt me. And Cloughie's giving it to Jim, he's giving it to me. I'm just warming up. Anyway, we make a substitution, I get on the pitch. Within 5 minutes, I go through, shoot, Mark Crosley saves it, Ian Wright puts the rebound in, Cloughie's jumping on the side. Campbell! Don't you hurt me! I'm there, facing myself laughing. So we're winning 1-0. About 5 minutes to go. I break through, square it for Righty 2-0, and I just look over and he's just sat there like that, giving me the death stare. So, game finishes, we win the game 2-0, so we're shaking hands on the pitch. And I totally forgot about Cloughie, so I'm walking up at Highbury, I'm walking up towards the corridor for the dressing rooms, and then as I've gone through onto the corridor, I thought, where's Cloughie? Where is he? And the away dressing room had 2 doors. Normally the first door, which was to the bathroom and toilet, was closed. And then they'd go in the other door to the dressing room. And as I'm walking along, I'm like weary of what's going on. So I'm weary. And all I could see was this eye through the crack of the door looking at me. So as he's seen me, he's ripped the door open. And he looked at me and went, I told you, don't hurt me, Campbell. I said, Mr. Clough, it's my job. I'm supposed to try and beat you. So he said, come here. So he kissed me on both cheeks and whispered in my ear, I obviously didn't kick you for hard.
That's incredible.
And you tell people this story and they're like, no way. I'm telling you, he was a one-off, mate. He was a one-off.
Went to the dressing room door and turning round to the lads saying, see you Monday, lads. Thinking just Sunday's a day off, innit? Like, and he goes, where do you think you're going, house? So I says, I'm going home. Where's home? I said, I live in Barnsley. He said, my house, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, bring your boots, and it would help if you bring your f***ing gloves as well. So I walks up, knocks at the back door, and his wife answers, Barbara, and she goes, hello, Mark, how you doing? Pleased to meet you. Lovely to meet you. Come in, I'll make you a cup of tea, slice of toast, she says. So would you like one? I said, yeah, don't worry, yeah.
You couldn't put a bit of fucking bacon in training, could you?
Still don't know why I'm there. So I sits down in the kitchen. So anyway, he comes downstairs, rugby shirt, green sweater, blue tracky bottoms, pair of wellies on, tennis racket in his hand. Dog goes and sits at the side of him. He goes, I won't call you house, 'cause Barbara's here. I said. But I'd like to say thank you. So I goes, what for? Now, Nigel's manager at Burton Albion and chief scout is Simon, his other son, Simon Clough. Simon Clough is the manager of a Division 5 Sunday League team in Derbyshire Sunday League. You know what's coming, don't you? So Cloughie goes, thank you for agreeing to play for Simon's team this morning. They haven't got a goalkeeper and I thought you'd do, son. So...
Thanks for agreeing.
So I goes, no problem, it's Cloughie, innit? I'm not going to say no. So anyway, I get in car with Simon and we go to this ground. It was like Concord Park. It was like, there were 25 pitches all over. Dog, broken glass, you name it's on these pitches. I've played against Coventry at FA Cup day before. Newcastle, Liverpool 2 weeks before that.
And you're playing against fucking Dog and Duck.
Division 5 at Derbyshire Standard was horrendous, right? AC Hunters got fined 50 quid, right? For playing a ringer. And that bastard took it out of my wages to pay. I swear to God. He fucking took 50 quid out of my wages to pay fucking 5 for AC Hunters. So that's what it was like, and that's how we knock you back down to earth, like, you know. And there's like, when I think back, there's loads of stories. Harry did them things to all different kinds of players.